I'm the villainous side character in a fluffy ABO romance novel, the Omega who's always at odds with the main character. During the time I was controlled by the plot, I despised my husband, ignored my son, and turned our perfectly good home into a complete disaster. The day I regained my senses, I bolted straight home. At the same time, a scrolling live commentary appeared before my eyes. When is Leo getting written off? I'm so sick of this vicious side character. He has such a hot husband and a sweet kid but still chooses to be a disaster. He's got rocks in his head. He's the reason Julian and Owen turn into the main and secondary villains later on, causing so much trouble for the main couple. What an idiot, Leo. He was dealt a great hand and completely fumbled it. Just kill him off already. Kill him off +1. Hurry up and stop ruining everyone's lives. My chest heaved, my breath coming in ragged gasps from the frantic run. Couldn't catch it. Before I even had a chance to process what was happening, I saw my son. So close, yet so gloomy and silent. I dropped down and smothered my cute little guy's face with kisses. My husband came home mid-smooch, a look of utter bewilderment on his face. I stood up and pulled him over and gave my handsome husband a million kisses. 2. So, it turns out I'm the disposable villain in a novel. My entire purpose is to highlight the protagonist's virtues while constantly making life difficult for him and his partner. Oh, and I'm also the mastermind responsible for turning the story's main and secondary villains to the dark side. The novel's protagonist is Sam, a gentle, kind, and universally loved Omega. I met him in college. As my roommate, we spent a fair amount of time together. I don't know when it started, but I developed a toxic jealousy toward this roommate who, despite his humble background, had earned the respect and admiration of countless people through his own hard work. From then on, I leaned into my role as the villainous side character, constantly antagonizing Sam, tripping him up, and looking for trouble. After graduation, Sam stayed in New York City and found his happily ever after with the other main character, Chris. I followed my family's arrangements and married an exceptional alpha, and we had a son. But even that didn't stop me. As if possessed, I just couldn't stand the sight of Sam. I had to compete with him in everything, and when I inevitably felt I couldn't measure up, I'd fly into a useless rage. My days were dedicated to scheming up ways to make his life miserable. A textbook mindless NPC. After escalating my antics and making an irreversible mistake, my fate was, of course, to reap what I sowed and die a miserable death. After I died, probably due to the long-term gaslighting and emotional abuse I'd subjected them to, Julian and a grown-up Owen both went full-on evil, becoming the novel's true villains. But, as they say, good always triumphs over evil. In the end, they were written out of the story, too. Basically, my family of 3 was just a set of stock villains. The day I woke up, I couldn't for the life of me understand why I would hate someone so irrationally. Hate him so much that I lost myself, that I wrecked my own life. Not only did I resent my husband, but I also neglected my child. My handsome, wealthy husband and my adorable, sweet little boy. Right now, my only feeling was an urgent, desperate need to see them. That's why I'd sprinted home without stopping. When those strange comments suddenly appeared, I was only startled for a few seconds before I pushed them aside, because I saw my son, Owen. He was almost 4, his face a perfect blend of his father's best features and mine, well-defined and incredibly handsome. But his delicate face held a seriousness that didn't belong to a child his age, and a faint gloominess clouded his features. When he saw me, his pupils dilated slightly. He looked like he wanted to call out to me, but he must have remembered the countless times I'd been impatient and dismissive with him, because he never said a word. He just stood there, silent and lost. Seeing him like that sent a sharp pain through my heart, and a wave of sorrow washed over my chest. I rushed over to him. The comments appeared again. What's Leo trying to do? He's not going to hit the little villain, is he? Holy crap, is he even human? So the villain was abused as a kid. No wonder he turned evil. The little villain has it so rough. He's so good-looking, too. How could Leo even lay a hand on him? HHH Leo, you monster. I wish I could reach through the screen and slap him a few times. Why doesn't Leo just go? Huh? The comments came to a screeching halt, because what they were expecting didn't happen. I knelt down and wrapped Owen in my arms. I gently rubbed his back with one hand and cradled the back of his head with the other. Then I leaned in and planted a series of loud, sloppy kisses on my little guy's adorable face. His skin was so smooth and soft, though his cheeks were a little cold. I felt the little body in my arms go completely stiff. His wide eyes filled with disbelief. Savoring the feeling, I couldn't resist leaning in for a few more kisses. His once cool little cheeks were already warming up. Just then, there was a noise from the entryway. Julian was home. When he opened the door and saw me hugging our son, his usually stoic face showed clear surprise. It was a normal reaction. After all, I barely paid any attention to Owen, let alone showed him this kind of affection. I gently let go of the stunned Owen, ruffling his hair as I stood up. Then I walked over and pulled Julian toward me. Moi, moi, moi. My handsome husband gets a million kisses. 2. The alpha was so tall. I had to stand on my tiptoes, my hands on his shoulders to steady myself. The moment my lips touched his cheek, he had the same reaction. Julian's body froze as if he'd been flash frozen. So I took the opportunity to kiss him wantonly, over and over, until Julian took half a step back, his tone stiff. Leo, what are you doing? What kind of new drama is this? Ugh, what's Leo's new scheme? Something's fishy when he acts this weird. Isn't it obvious? He's about to make some other ridiculous demand of Julian. I really don't get how the cold, heartless villain keeps falling for this cannon fodder's tricks again and again. He's just thinking about the kid. Otherwise, if it were me, I would have kicked this idiot to the curb long ago. Thankfully, things hadn't reached the point of no return yet. Thankfully, they hadn't started to completely despise me yet. I looked at them both and gave them a goofy grin. I blinked, answering earnestly, being affectionate with you. Julian's brow furrowed, his thin lips pressed into a line. His voice was deep and cool. Just say it. What do you want? I was speechless for a moment. Was that how little he trusted me now? I don't want anything. I was a bit dejected, but I tried to make my explanation sound as sincere as possible. I really just wanted to be close to you both. But Julian clearly didn't believe me. He looked away, avoiding my eyes, and said flatly, I'll do what I promised you. I'll go on the show. You don't have to worry about me backing out. I paused, searching my memory, and quickly understood what show he was talking about. It was a wildly popular family travel show that had already aired 2 seasons. The show invited several celebrity families to focus on their interactions. By having them travel to different locations and complete a series of challenges, it revealed the true state of their family relationships. Because Sam's family was participating, I had found out and thrown a fit, demanding that Julian and I go on it too. My goal was to one-up Sam on the show and find ways to embarrass him. It was on this show that I committed all my worst deeds, letting the entire country see my ugly side. My reputation was ruined, and it even caused the stock price of Julian's company, the Pay Corporation, to plummet. That night, I lay in my empty bed, running a hand through my hair in frustration. The current me would never go looking for trouble with the main characters, but this show, it was already a done deal. It seemed like I had to go. Well, I'll just treat it as a vacation and use the time to bond with my husband and son. In the quiet room, I replayed the events of the past few years. A dull ache suddenly pulsed in my head. 2 years ago, it seems I was in a car accident. My memories from before that were hazy, like they were shrouded in a fog. All I remember is that afterward, I was controlled by the plot, forced to become the villainous male supporting character, and did so many things that hurt everyone. The more I thought about it, the more miserable I felt. Couldn't sleep, because the me from before detested Julian and had no affection for our son. I had always slept in a separate room from them. A family of 3, each in their own room in a massive villa. I shot up and swung my legs out of bed. I tiptoed to Owen's room, opened the door, and crept inside. The little guy was sound asleep. He was sleeping peacefully on his side, the covers pulled up neatly, half of his face buried in the pillow. That innocent face, which held traces of both me and Julian, made my heart melt instantly. I carefully lifted the covers, climbed into bed, and lay down beside him. By the faint moonlight streaming in, I just stared at him, unblinking. After a while, just looking wasn't enough. I reached out and gently gathered the small boy into my arms. But even in his sleep, Owen sensed something and slowly opened his eyes. When he saw me, he didn't show any surprise or confusion. He just blinked and whispered softly, "I'm dreaming about Papa again." I felt a pang of guilt and heartache. I stroked his hair and said, "Silly boy, it's not a dream. Your Papa's really here." His eyes flew open. Now a pro at this, I planted a loud smack of a kiss on his forehead and continued, "Papa wants to sleep with you. Is that okay?" Owen was stunned and flustered for a long moment before he carefully nodded. "Okay." My bizarre behavior today was so out of character that I knew Owen must be feeling very uncomfortable right now. I could tell from how tense his little body was. I thought for a moment and said, "It's still a little lonely and cold. Should we go find your dad?" Without waiting for Owen to agree, I got up, found a small blanket, and dug him out from under the covers. I wrapped him up snugly, then swooped him into my arms in one smooth motion. Julian's room was right next door. Out of politeness, I knocked. I figured if he didn't answer or was asleep and didn't hear, I'd use my old trick and sneak in with my little guy to give him a scare. To my surprise, the door opened shortly after I knocked. When Julian saw Owen wrapped up tightly in my arms, his first reaction was alarm. "What did Owen do to make you angry again?" I couldn't blame him for thinking that I had a record. Once, I got annoyed with Owen for coughing when he was sick and made him stand in the corner as punishment. Luckily, Julian had found out in time. Seeing this scene so suddenly today, he probably thought I'd lost it and tied Owen up. Owen poked his little head out of the blanket and called out to Julian in a daze, "Dad." Julian realized he had misunderstood. He looked down, his tone softening a little. "What's wrong?" "It's so cold today," I said, making up a random excuse. "Honey, we've come to seek refuge with you." Julian's brow twitched almost imperceptibly. He took my arm, led us inside, and closed the door. The room had air conditioning and was much warmer than the hallway. I took a deep, comfortable breath. It wasn't until I had climbed onto Julian's big bed with Owen and all three of us were lying down that he belatedly said, "The temperature didn't drop today." "So what? We're already in bed." I said, "Maybe it's my heart that's cold." He looked like he wanted to say something else, but I had already shamelessly closed my eyes. "Good night, honey. Good night, Owen." The room fell silent, with only the sound of our steady breathing. But those damn comments popped up again at the most inopportune time. "Who possessed Leo? Whoever you are, get out of Leo's body right now, you're confusing me. What is this? Has the villain had a change of heart? I'd sooner believe I'm the first emperor of China than believe he's had a change of heart. All hail the first emperor of China. Just wait and see. This psycho is definitely planning something big. No way, you psycho Leo, do you even know how to lie there properly? Move over and let me lie down. Hot husband. Cute kid. Drools." I scoffed internally. "No matter how much you drool, they're mine." Na 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 na. That night, I had a series of bizarre dreams. I dreamt of my constantly snarling face, my cold indifference to my family, and the final, miserable scene of my death. When I woke up, my head was throbbing. It took me a while to recover, only to find the bed beside me empty. Julian and Owen had already left. I rubbed my forehead in regret. I had planned to take Owen to kindergarten this morning, but I'd overslept. So in the afternoon, I left work early, contacted Julian's assistant to let him know I was picking up Owen, and drove to his kindergarten to wait. This was the best private kindergarten in the city. Actually, Owen wasn't originally enrolled here. It was only after I learned that Sam's son was at this school that, out of a twisted need to compete with him in everything, I made Julian transfer Owen here. Soon it was time for school to let out. The kids from each class came out in two neat lines. I searched for Owen. I quickly spotted him, carrying a small backpack, his fair, handsome face standing out from the crowd. In line with him was another equally fair and adorable child. a bit shorter than him, with a delicate face that was very likable. Owen had his head turned, talking to him, and both of them had smiles on their faces. I recognized him. That was Ethan, Sam, and Chris's son. I didn't interrupt their conversation. When Owen saw me, his eyes first filled with surprise. Then, as if remembering something, he bit his lip fearfully and moved away from the boy beside him. I knew what he was worried about. In the past, I had forbidden him from being friends with Ethan. I was always warning him to stay away from Ethan and to be better than everyone else. I walked over and called to him gently, "Owen." He looked a little nervous, but his clear eyes held more joy. He took 2 steps toward me. "Papa." Ethan stood where he was, looking a bit awkward. He wanted to greet me but seemed hesitant and didn't move. The comments were flying fast. High alert warning ahead. Psycho Leo is about to go ballistic. I'm used to it. This side character gets triggered by anything related to the protagonist. He's seriously sick. Poor kids. Hope this doesn't scar them for life. Where's the main guy? Chris? Hurry up and protect your kid. It's fine. Even though I don't know why Leo suddenly showed up to get Owen, the author will probably arrange for him to get put in his place in this kind of scene. I really want to slap him with a flip-flop. I knelt down, took off Owen's backpack, and held it myself. Then, amidst all the malicious speculation from the comments, I looked at Ethan, who was standing behind Owen. I gave the adorable little boy a friendly smile and softened my voice. "You must be Owen's friend, Ethan, right?" Ethan blinked, his nervousness visibly fading. He nodded gently and said quietly, "Yeah. Hello, sir. My name is Ethan." I kept my smile, trying not to scare him, and even pitched my voice a little higher. "You're so sweet. Ethan, you should come over to our house to play sometime." Ethan's eyes widened in pleasant surprise. "Okay, thank you, sir." So adorable. Looking at the 2 cute kids, my heart just melted. Unfortunately, before we could talk much more, Chris's assistant arrived to pick up Ethan. He knew about my past misdeeds. He quickly took Ethan's hand and led him away from me, shooting me a fierce glare before he left. I guess I'll just have to take it slow and change people's minds with my actions. I sighed internally and took Owen's hand, walking toward the car. On the way, Owen mustered up the courage to call out to me, "Papa." I stopped and looked down at him. Owen asked timidly, "See, can I be friends with Ethan from now on?" I knelt down to his eye level and said seriously, "Of course you can, sweetie. Papa was wrong before. I shouldn't have said those things. From now on, Owen, you can make friends freely. Papa will never interfere. I'll try to be a better dad from now on, too. Please don't give up on me. Okay?" A film of tears suddenly clouded Owen's eyes, but he stubbornly bit his lip, refusing to let them fall, and nodded firmly at me. Okay. I didn't drive straight home. Instead, I took Owen to a nearby mall, bought him some snacks, picked out some clothes for him. Then it occurred to me that besides business dinners, our family of 3 had almost never eaten out together. So I called Julian and told him to meet us. Our family went out for a big meal at a restaurant. That evening, I stayed with Owen and read him a story. After getting him to sleep, I slipped into Julian's room like I'd done it 100 times before. Under his surprised gaze, I announced, "We're sleeping together from now on." Julian was quiet for a moment, looking like he wanted to say something but couldn't. Finally, with a swallow, he managed 2 words, "As you wish." We were both in bed, but Julian kept his distance. He was just lying on his back, pointedly not looking at me. I pouted and scooted closer. "Why are you so far away?" Julian said, "This is what you wanted." I rolled over and draped an arm over him. "This isn't what I wanted at all. Don't you get it?" I said. "I'm here to make out with you." As I spoke, my hand audaciously slid under his pajama shirt. I whispered, "Or maybe do something a little more loud." Julian grabbed my wrist, his deep voice tight with some suppressed emotion. "Do you enjoy messing with people?" Although I expected this reaction, a sharp sting of pain still pierced my heart. I quickly pushed down the bitterness and pressed on. "I'm not messing with you. I'm serious. You don't want to? Do you hate me that much?" I let my eyes fall, dejected, part real emotion, part acting. But if you really hated me, how did we end up with such an adorable baby together? Julian's brow furrowed, and he instinctively denied it. That's not what I meant. He slowly released my hand. I took the chance to wrap my arms around his waist, resting my head on his shoulder. I want your pheromones, I murmured. Your heat isn't due yet. I didn't back down. I want them anyway. Are you going to give them to me or not? Julian fell silent. But soon, a warm, rich scent of latte filled the room, intertwined with the mellow sweetness of milk and the steady, subtle bitterness of coffee. He had released his pheromones. I closed my eyes in comfort. Julian turned and hugged me, his hold restrained. I couldn't control my own pheromones as they spilled out. The clean, crisp scent of coconut collided with the latte. The sweet coconut balanced the sharpness and bitterness of the latte pheromones, making the air in the room harmonious and soothing. When I looked up, our eyes met. Almost on pure instinct, I kissed the alpha's lips. Julian froze for a second, then his large hand clamped onto my waist, and he kissed me back. It was a passionate, lingering kiss, almost on the verge of losing control. I don't know how long it lasted, but Julian finally pulled away, gently wiping a trail of saliva from the corner of my mouth. Just as he was about to pull back with restraint, I wrapped my arms around his neck and whispered, "We haven't done it in a long time." Julian's pupils contracted. He stared at me, unblinking, as if to confirm I wasn't joking. Looking at the restraint in the alpha's deep eyes, I clicked my tongue inwardly. He's so pent up. He really has some self-control. Then I tilted my head up and pressed my lips to his again. Julian couldn't hold back any longer. He flipped over, covering my body with his. As our breaths mingled, I saw Julian reach for something on the nightstand. I pulled him back, murmuring, "Don't worry about it. Just don't go too deep." The concentration of pheromones in the room intensified several times over as two figures became hopelessly entangled on the bed. The comments were stunned. What step did I miss? How did the side character's plotline just hit the expressway? I'll be honest, I hate Leo, but this is something I really want to see. Don't black out the screen. What can't a paying VIP member see? Ugh, that villain Leo seducing the big boss to get what he wants. So manipulative. Then again, with a guy that hot, I'd probably do the same. In the following days, I dedicated myself to repairing my precarious relationship with my husband and son. I moved into the master bedroom to sleep with Julian. Every night, I'd first put Owen to sleep, then go back to our room. Occasionally, I'd lure him to sleep between Julian and me. I started carpooling with Julian every day. We'd drop Owen off at kindergarten first, then Julian would drop me off at my studio before heading to his company. The places were all pretty much on the same route anyway. Soon, it was almost time for the show to start filming. The day we were invited by the production team for a promotional poster shoot. When Julian saw Sam's family, he looked down, his expression suddenly darkening. Owen, on the other hand, was thrilled and ran over to play with Ethan. That evening, while we were on a walk after dinner, I saw the subtle gloom on Julian's face and sidled up to him, wanting to take his hand. But he discreetly avoided it. I could guess what was bothering him. I sighed internally and was about to explain, when I heard him ask in a low voice, "What are you trying to compete over this time?" My mouth opened. Who's the more loving couple? Julian's face grew even darker, a flash of self-mockery and sadness in his eyes. I quickly tried to soothe him, forcefully weaving my fingers between his and taking his hand. I just want to show off our love. Let the whole country see how happy our family is. Plus, we can use this chance to have some fun with Owen. I promise I have no other motives. Really? Julian was silent for a moment. His expression softened, but he still wasn't fully convinced. You can't fake what's not real, he said. And you can't hide what is. I shot back, leaning close to his ear and whispering on my tiptoes, "How many times have we kissed lately? Have you forgotten? And at night, your pheromones have practically marinated me. When you're holding me down, begging for more." Before I could finish, Julian cut me off, exasperated. "Leo!" The tips of his ears flushed red. "Don't say any more," he whispered. Just then, I felt a tug on the hem of my shirt. I looked down to see Owen staring up at us with big, bright, clear eyes, looking innocent and pure. Dad, Papa, why did you stop walking? I giggled. It's nothing, sweetie. I was just being affectionate with your dad. The show was called Traveling the World with My Little Treasure. This season, they invited 6 families, including ours and Sam's. The first stop was the Southwest. On the first day, when we all met, everyone gathered to introduce themselves. Because of my past atrocious behavior, Sam had a look of obvious vigilance when he saw me. Beyond that, his eyes also held a certain weariness and helplessness, as if he was stuck with a piece of crap he couldn't shake off. His husband, Chris, was even more protective, often standing in front of Sam and shooting me several warning glares. Then Julian, seeing me get scowled at, glared back defiantly. The 2 kids, however, were getting along great. Completely oblivious to the drama between us adults, they started playing together as soon as they met. The comments section exploded again. Here we go, here we go. Cannon fodder. Leo is about to embark on his path of self-destruction. The super sweet story of the main couple's family is about to start, but it's so annoying having this clown jumping around making trouble. Ick, is it just me? Or has Leo not been causing drama for a while? Honestly, he and the villain are kinda cute together now. Hey, wake up, person above. Just you wait, the fox is about to show its true colors. It sucks for the little villain to have a dad like that. Today's journey was through the desert. Because of my past resistance, our family of 3 had never gone on a trip together before. So, as far as Owen could remember, this was the first time we had all gone out to play together. On the vast desert, looking at the endless golden sand, he was clearly having a great time. Just as he was about to take off running, I quickly grabbed the hood of his jacket and yanked him back. Owen turned and looked at me, confused. I knelt down, took the small water bottle Julian handed me, and hung it on him diagonally. Take this with you. Owen, don't run too far or your dads will worry. And remember to drink water often, okay? Owen gave me a happy smile and nodded emphatically. Okay, I got it, Papa. Actually, Owen is a very good boy, he wouldn't run off. He obediently played within our line of sight. I watched him and snuggled up to Julian, naturally taking the alpha's hand. Julian silently squeezed my hand back. I turned to look at him and found him staring into space. His dark eyes held a complex mix of emotions. Contentment, yet also a hint of melancholy. What's wrong, honey? I batted my eyelashes at him, speaking in a coy tone. Did I bother you by insisting you come? Did I mess up your work schedule? It's all my fault. You're so busy, and I still had to bother you. It's not a bother. Julian cut in almost as soon as I finished. I'm not busy lately. His grip on my hand tightened, and he looked down, emphasizing with a hint of awkwardness. Taking Owen out more is also good for his development. I held back a laugh and pressed my face against his arm. And it's very good for my mental and physical health, too. Then, when no one was looking, I quickly planted a kiss on his cheek. The tips of Julian's ears turned red again. Just then, Owen came running over, tugging on my pants and looking up. Papa, can I give Ethan a cheese stick? Of course you can. I knelt down and looked at him. It's your cheese stick, Owen. You can give it to whomever you want. Owen smiled shyly, his lips pressed together. Thanks, Papa. I pinched my boy's chubby cheek. You're welcome, sweetie. Go on. Owen happily ran off to find Ethan. I followed his retreating figure with my eyes and happened to meet Sam's gaze. Our eyes locked. The way he looked at me wasn't with the same rejection as before, but with a hint of curiosity. There were quite a few recreational activities in the desert. On the first day of the trip, the main goal was relaxation, so the production team didn't assign us any tasks. They let us play to our heart's content all day. We tried everything. Camel riding, off-roading, sand surfing. Owen often hung out with Ethan, and I didn't, as the comments predicted, try to stop them in any way. In fact, I was happy to see it. They were already familiar with each other and were much more comfortable together. But as time went on, they started interacting with the other kids, too. I watched as my once gloomy and silent little Owen finally began to show the innocence and energy of a child his age, his smiles becoming more frequent. I felt incredibly gratified. Off camera, Sam approached me privately once. He stared at me for a long time before saying, "I feel like you've changed a lot since we last met." I smiled. "Well, a guy can change," he said. "If I remember correctly, you're past that age." True, but this was really hard to explain. I couldn't just say I was possessed before, could I? So I just spouted nonsense. "Okay, then I'm a master of disguise." Sam seemed to let out a silent sigh. "Then I hope you never change back," he said. "Owen is a good kid, and Julian cares about you a lot. If you could focus on your family, you would be much happier." The subtext was, "Stop fixating on me and making my life miserable." I straightened up and looked at him seriously. "You're right. I'm sorry. I was wrong before, always causing you trouble. I promise it will never happen again. If there's anything I can do to make it up to you, just ask. And I hope my past actions don't affect Owen and Ethan's friendship." As I finished, the comments went wild. "Is this Leo? The sun must be rising in the west. Fake, fake. I don't believe it. Sam, don't trust him. Is this another trick? That psycho is full of them, trying to make Sam lower his guard and then deal a fatal blow." Even though Leo has been acting weirdly normal lately, we still need to wait and see. I think he might have really figured things out. After all, he's been focusing on his family lately. He's got the villain all wrapped around his finger. +1 to the person above. He probably finally got a brain, realized how great his husband and kid are. Sam was stunned for a moment, then said, "It's good that you've come to your senses. Ethan really likes Owen, so of course I don't mind them being friends." After a pause, a smile suddenly bloomed on his face. "Leo, I think I'm seeing the you from college again." I blinked, confused. College? Was he complimenting me on looking younger? During our travels, Owen, Julian, and I all stayed in the same room every night. Before bed, I would read Owen a story. But after so long, I had run out of material. So I shot a look at Julian. "Honey, you tell Owen the story today." I grinned mischievously. "I want to listen, too." Owen also turned his expectant gaze to Julian. The latter paused, clearly out of his element when it came to storytelling. But faced with our two pairs of eager eyes, he relented. With a serious expression, as if he were handling official business, he took out his phone and searched carefully. After finding a good fairy tale, he began to read to us in a stiff, formal tone. In a faraway, enchanted forest lived a gentle and kind mother rabbit and a brave and strong father rabbit. They lived a simple and happy life. Later, the mother rabbit discovered she was pregnant. His deep, magnetic voice, now like a warm current soaked in moonlight, slowly flowed into my heart, plucking at its strings. Owen held my index finger with one hand and clutched Julian's shirt with the other. He soon drifted off to sleep. In the darkness, Julian's voice stopped, leaving only the sound of steady breathing. Sensing that Owen was fast asleep, and knowing that the production team wouldn't be crazy enough to keep the cameras rolling on us in the dead of night, I spoke softly. "Honey." He used to feel awkward, but now Julian was completely used to me calling him that. He whispered back, "What is it?" Pouted at him. "Kisses." With cameras following us everywhere these past few days, I'd been holding back. Julian didn't answer, but I could hear him shifting his body toward me. Owen was between us. Julian propped himself up on one hand, carefully leaning his upper body toward me. I understood and tilted my head up. The next second, a kiss landed. His tongue swept in, our lips and tongues tangling, greedily stealing each other's breath. Lost in the moment, the sense of latte and coconut pheromones spilled out, intertwining and dancing. After the wet kiss ended, I lay on the bed, dazed, my cheeks burning. If we had kissed any longer, I really would have lost control. Panting, I saw those comments again. Keep going, why did you stop? Say what you will, but Leo is a master of seduction. Look how hooked the villain is. Just get it on already. Do it, let's see what you've got. Calm down. The kid is right there. The villain's pajama pants must be about to burst. For real, he looked like he wanted to eat Leo just now. When it gets to this part, nobody argues anymore, nobody insults the side character. Everyone's just completely lost in the moment. oblivious to the world. Red is for destruction, blue is for coldness, green is for disguise, yellow is for I wanna watch. I'm realizing this ship is actually pretty sweet. Right, I forgot about this weird bunch. The first leg of our trip came to an end. The next shoot was in a week. Everyone went home to rest. Traveling is pretty tiring. The day after we got home, I slept like the dead. Those two, however, were full of energy. Julian went back to the office that day to handle work, and Owen was full of life, drawing in his picture books and playing with his toys. I lazed around all day. In the afternoon, I even dozed off while scrolling through my phone. In my sleep, I felt a stir. I opened my eyes to find Julian and Owen looking down at me from either side. Julian placed his hand on my forehead, his eyes full of worry. Owen's little face was scrunched up, and he threw himself onto me in a panic. I was a bit dazed. What's wrong? Are you sick? Is anything uncomfortable? Julian's voice fell beside my ear. Leo. I finally understood they thought I was sick. No, I rubbed my eyes and smiled. I just fell asleep while on my phone, and it made me all groggy. Then I sat up, hooked an arm around each of them, and leaned over to give them both a kiss. Julian let out a sigh of relief and leaned down to stroke my hair. That's good. Want to get up and eat something? MHM. The next day, Owen went to his swimming class, which he loves. Julian didn't go to work today. We took it easy and had the assistant take Owen. After a leisurely breakfast, Julian and I snuggled on the sofa, watching a variety show. I found a comfortable spot to lean against him, and the alpha cooperatively wrapped his arm around my shoulders. We shared a can of soda, him taking a sip, then me. I could hear his strong heartbeat in my ear. Through the thin shirt, I could feel the slight rise and fall of his back muscles. I couldn't focus on the TV anymore. My mind started to wander. Just then, the hand on my shoulder slid down and gripped my waist. He knew this was one of my more sensitive spots. I turned my head and instantly met Julian's scorching gaze. Naturally, we fell into a kiss. When the kiss ended, I wrapped my arms around his neck and whispered, "Want to?" He seemed to take a deep breath, his voice firm and resonant. Yes. The next second, I was airborne as Julian swept me into his arms. As he carried me upstairs, I kissed and nuzzled his face. Let's just say the journey was a bit bumpy. My body sank into the soft bed. Before I could even recover, the man was on top of me, his lips sealing mine. Our hands urgently fumbled with each other's clothes, and soon, they were scattered all over the floor. With my senses heightened, the wet sounds of our tongues intertwining were infinitely amplified. The pheromones of coconut and latte had long since filled the space, wrapping around each other, blending, as if performing a silent dance. The alpha gripped my waist with one hand and easily cupped my ankle with the other, thrusting into me with a force that wouldn't be denied. I scrambled to grab his forearm, the warm yellow light of the room swimming in my tear-filmed eyes. I don't know how much time passed. I was half buried in the pillow, the alpha's almost searing body pressed against my back. He licked the sensitive, soft nape of my neck. Soon, sharp canines pierced my gland, and a torrent of rich, aromatic latte pheromones flooded in, seeping into the sweet coconut scent and merging with it completely. We were lost in each other. Later, when the intensity lessened a bit, I was finally able to pay attention to the rapidly scrolling comments. Their horniness is on another level. This couple is really going at it, lost in passion, oblivious to the world. Leo really got his act together after his awakening. The villain is eating well, to be fair. Leo's looks and body are flawless. Still a black screen. It's not over yet. I'm spinning in circles, I want to see so badly. Julian's probably going to live inside Leo until Owen gets back. Coconut latte. Perfect match. And they're so easy on the eyes. I'm shipping this. Yes, 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 Leo, just keep getting tangled up with Julian like this. It's good for you, good for me, good for everyone. Soon, it was time to film the second episode of the show. This time, the destination was a southern rainforest. Considering the number of mosquitoes inside, I pulled Owen over before we went in and slathered him with insect repellent cream. Owen is a very obedient little boy. He held out his two fair, tender arms and let me apply it. After I had evenly coated all the places he might get bitten, I helped him put on his jacket and a little hat. He looked exactly like a little adventurer, absolutely adorable. I was admiring my superb fashion sense when a deep voice sounded from behind me. Leo! I turned to see Julian. Before I could say anything, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me over. What's wrong? I asked. The alpha was concise. Apply cream. As his well-defined hands, coated with cream, touched my skin, my mind inappropriately flashed back to certain other scenes. My body couldn't help but tremble. Owen, standing beside us, asked innocently, Papa, what's wrong with you? My face was burning. I glanced up at Julian and spouted nonsense. Nothing. Your dad just gave me a little shock. He gave me a confused look but didn't argue. Arriving at a new place, the children were very excited and looking forward to the trip. The production team had already given everyone a task. Each family had to collect 3 specific rainforest treasures before reaching the campsite. These included specially shaped leaves, medicinal plants, and edible wild fruits. The team provided different photos to each family. We could team up in pairs and help each other find them. As soon as they got the photos, Owen and Ethan were already huddled together, looking at each other's pictures. The rule was to form teams freely. Since the 2 kids got along so well, we adults naturally went along with their wishes. So we teamed up with Sam and his family. Sam has a good personality, kind and generous. And after spending some time together, Chris had let his guard down around me. So they were both quite nice to me now. The scent of nature washed over us, and everywhere we looked was bursting with life. Led by a professional guide, we moved forward, scanning our surroundings for the rainforest treasures. Occasionally, we encountered muddy and difficult paths. At those times, Julian would securely pick Owen up. He'd hold him with one arm, leaving the other free to hold my hand. Papa, Ethan and I found this leaf. Owen turned, his face full of joy, and said to me. I walked over to look and saw that the leaf in their hands was indeed identical to the one in the photo. I praised them, you're so clever. Owen looked at Ethan. Ethan saw it first. I knelt down and stroked their heads. Is that so? Then we have Ethan to thank. The 2 of them laughed happily and soon went off with renewed enthusiasm to find other treasures. The comments started rolling. I never would have thought I'd see such a harmonious scene between cannon fodder Leo and the protagonist's family. Did Leo really change? Please don't suddenly hurt Sam again. He's too busy getting it on with Julian to have the energy to target anyone else. It should have been this way from the start. With such a capable husband and such an adorable kid, why would he keep fixating on other people? Yes, getting it on is a verb, and Leo loves it. Okay. Keep it up and I won't curse you out anymore. So we're just supposed to forget all the evil things Leo did before? Hey, I'll hate Leo for life. If he's forgiven this easily, what about all the suffering Sam went through before? The task wasn't actually that hard. The items were common rainforest species that could be found with careful observation. The main thing was that kids this age have a strong sense of curiosity, and this added a lot of fun to their journey. Soon, we arrived at the campsite set up by the production team. After eating and resting for a while, everyone took the kids to experience some unique rainforest recreational activities. That night, we slept in a treehouse. It was mainly because the kids wanted to experience a fairy tale-like home. Owen was exhausted from playing so hard during the day and fell asleep quickly. He had a faint, unconscious smile on his face, as if he were having a sweet dream. I tucked him in, watched his peaceful sleeping face for a while, and then stepped out of the room. There was a deck outside the room, offering an easy view of the jungle right before us and the distant starry sky above. There was a rocking chair on the deck, and Julian was sitting in it, looking up at the sky. Hearing the noise, he quickly shifted his gaze to me. I walked over and squeezed in to sit next to him. The alpha naturally pulled me into his arms. I nestled in his embrace, and we both looked up at the stars. Suddenly, a low whisper fell beside my ear. Leo. I turned to look at him. Julian was silent for a long time. Just when I thought he wasn't going to speak again, I felt his chin rest on my hair. His voice was low and raspy. "Will you stay with us forever?" I froze. I caught the fleeting sadness in his eyes. My heart ached. I burrowed deeper into his embrace, pressing my face against his chest, listening to the beat of his heart. I promised earnestly, of course. "I will always be with you." The rainforest trip was proceeding as planned. But one day, an unexpected accident occurred due to unforeseen weather. As we were walking, it suddenly started to rain. At first, it was just a drizzle, but then the raindrops grew larger, gradually turning into a downpour. This was something none of us had anticipated. We happened to be by a stream. The once calm stream's water level rose, and the current became turbulent. In the scramble, everyone called out to each other, heading for higher, open ground. Just then, I noticed that Ethan wasn't paying attention and seemed to have scraped his ankle on a plant. He let out a small cry of pain. He was about to step from a rock toward Sam, who was reaching out to him. But the moss-covered rock was too slippery. His foot slipped, and his body instantly lost balance and fell. He tumbled a few times and was about to fall into the rushing stream. My body moved before my brain could. I rushed forward, grabbed his hand, pulled him up into my arms, and handed him to Sam, who had also hurried over. But in the heavy rain, with limited visibility, I also accidentally stepped on a slippery rock and fell backward, straight into the stream behind me. The brutal current crashed over me, making it harder and harder to control my body. I swallowed several mouthfuls of water, choking so badly I couldn't even open my eyes. In a daze, I heard Julian and Owen's panicked shouts, but I had no strength to respond. Ah? How did the plot take this turn? Leo doesn't deserve to die now. He actually saved Ethan. Didn't he used to hate Ethan the most? The main and secondary villains are going crazy with worry. Please be okay. My new ship isn't allowed to have a bad ending. Oh my God, someone save him. My ears filled with the muffled hum of being underwater. My eyes grew heavier and heavier, and I gradually lost consciousness. After that, I seemed to have a long dream. Those forgotten memories finally resurfaced in my mind. The thick fog lifted, and I understood the whole story. I was originally the villainous side character in the book, that part was true. But I had awakened from the plot's control much earlier than I thought. It was before I had even met the protagonist, Sam. I was determined to change my fate, to absolutely not do all the evil things in the book and end up with a miserable fate. Later, in college, I did meet Sam just as the book said. But I didn't harm him or antagonize him. On the contrary, we became good friends. We spent our college years peacefully and entered the workforce. Sam met his fated love, Chris. I followed my family's arrangement and married Julian. We fell in love over time and had our adorable Owen. Everyone was living their own happy life. I thought I could live happily ever after like that. But one day, the world consciousness discovered my awakening. It would not allow the plot to deviate from its original track. So it gave me a car accident as punishment. That time, my life hung by a thread. A young Owen and a devastated Julian were unwilling to lose me, so they made a deal with the world consciousness. As long as I lived, afterward, to force the deviated plot back on course, I once again became the villainous side character controlled by the story. And Julian and Owen lost those memories, forgetting the days and nights we had loved and cherished each other. Even so, deep down, they never hated me. I was cold and harsh to them, yet they always chose to tolerate me time and time again, because they already loved me. 2 years after the car accident, I finally regained my consciousness again. The viewers from a higher dimension watching our story willed it so that I would no longer be bound by the plot. They didn't want to see a villain who was inexplicably evil. Characters living sweet and happy lives were what they enjoyed seeing. When I woke up, my eyes and cheeks were wet. I unconsciously raised a hand to my face and found that I had cried a lot. Julian and Owen were keeping watch by my side. Seeing me awake, they rushed over, their eyes full of worry. "Leo, why are you crying?" Julian's face showed a rare panic. "Are you uncomfortable somewhere?" Owen was so anxious he was about to cry.
"Papa, I'm okay."
I said, "Papa just had a dream. I dreamt that you and Dad couldn't find me and were very sad. but I was actually right beside you. But you couldn't see me and I couldn't speak. I got so anxious that I started crying. Owen's little brain carefully processed my words. When he understood, he grabbed my hand and said seriously, "We wouldn't be unable to find you. Dad and I have been right here watching over Papa." Julian also leaned down and kissed my forehead. Thanks to a timely rescue, I was physically fine and was discharged from the hospital soon after. During that time, Sam's family came to see me, expressing their sincere gratitude. Actually, I should be thanking them too. After all, I had been a menace for 2 years, and they could still face me so calmly now. Strangely, after the accident in the water, those live comments disappeared from my life. But that wasn't a bad thing. From now on, I would live my own life well. A couple of days after being discharged, I pestered Julian to take me and Owen out for a big meal. Unable to refuse me, Julian agreed. After a delicious meal, our family of 3 went shopping. Today happened to be a holiday. There was a spectacular show with molten iron sparks in the famous city square. Julian and I squeezed to the front with Owen to watch. Owen was very excited, constantly letting out exclamations of wow. After the molten iron show, a fireworks display began in the wide square. Owen was between Julian and me, each of us holding one of his hands. Brilliant fireworks bloomed one after another in the night sky. Owen looked up, his sweet voice asking, "Papa, Dad, I want to be with you forever." I tightened my grip on his hand and gave him the same answer. "Of course, we will always be together."